A tornado recently hit parts of the central and southern United States. More than 70 people have died and many more are still unaccounted for. After the tornado made impact, the White House authorized FEMA to respond to the disaster. FEMA's priorities are supporting life-saving and life-sustaining actions. Marcus Coleman is the director for faith-based and neighborhood partnerships at the Department of Homeland Security. He's part of the FEMA response effort on the ground now in Kentucky. Marcus, welcome to the program.
Mimi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us what you're seeing on the ground there in Kentucky right now?
Happy to. So I've been in Kentucky for a few days, and one of my first visits was with a bishop, Bishop Byfield, of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. We had met at one of her local churches in Mayfield, Kentucky, and the church was completely destroyed. I had an opportunity to talk to a few pastors and parishioners, and just to hear their stories of loss, of grief, in addition of hope. It was great to see and encouraging to see that despite all that they've lost, they were very involved in helping their neighbors and providing neighbors their needs. But it was very instructive for me as a representative of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, just how devastating this particular storm was for so many people throughout the state. I've had the opportunity to meet with other disaster survivors as well. And while I am encouraged by all of the wonderful work and generosity that they have for one another, we're determined more than ever to make sure that we work with our faith-based and community-based partners to provide all the support we need for what we know is going to be a very long recovery.
And what's the biggest need there for survivors?
So we're still in the response phase, life-saving, life-sustaining. And so I think one of the big needs, and thankful to the state, they are continuing to lean forward, and we are here to support as they get power back restored in some impacted areas. Sheltering continues to be something that's needed. And of course, we have critical needs assistance, but thankfully with partners like the United Way and 211, they're able to start that process to identify some critical needs from our faith-based and community partners. In addition, from FEMA, we have started the disaster registration process. So we're encouraging all people that have been impacted by the storm in the state of Kentucky to call 1-800-621-3362 so you can start your recovery process for your household and for your family.
And your role is specific to faith-based and neighborhood partnerships, and you mentioned meeting with faith leaders. What's been the response that you've seen from those groups in Kentucky over the past few days?
During every disaster, I have the honor of being able to connect with leaders across faith and community leaders who are providing food, shelter, emotional and spiritual care. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been encouraged by their generosity, but also it's been helpful to get a sense of just what some of the additional needs are for coordination. Many people do not know this, but there's actually a voluntary organization active in disasters. This is a group that coordinates with one another about how to meet needs, again, ranging from feeding, sheltering, and things of that nature. You have groups like Operation Barbecue that's providing free meals to disaster survivors and first responders that need it. And we're just thankful for the work that they do. They also are trusted messengers for credible information coming from government and are helpful partners in understanding some of the unique challenges that maybe some disaster survivors don't quite feel comfortable sharing with us in terms of confusions about different processes and things like that. And so we're going to continue to provide as much accurate and credible information we can about the steps to apply for disaster assistance. And our faith-based and community-based partners are a big part of that outreach, in addition to the work that they do to support survivors every day.
And Marcus, how are you working with state, local, tribal, non-governmental partners even to support communities hit by this tornado?
So our role primarily is to support our state, tribal, territorial partners. And as I mentioned, appreciative to the state of Kentucky for being a partner to make sure that we were able to support them as quickly as possible. So when disasters happen, everything we do is in ultimately support of the states and the counties and the townships and the tribes that are leading efforts that as the disaster recovery continues. What's unique about the state of Kentucky is on their emergency management agency, they have a volunteer coordinator. So that's been one of our key partners to make sure that, again, as we identify faith-based and community-based groups nationally that want to come in and be of best help to disaster survivors. That volunteer coordinator plus the voluntary organizations active in disasters have allowed groups to find ways to be of best help, not just in the near term, but to help position some of the long-term recovery efforts we know are going to be necessary for so many families that have been devastated by the storm.
And what have you found to be the biggest difficulties that you faced in your response efforts on the ground?
One of the difficulties with every storm, but particularly with a storm like this, is we recognize that it's going to be a challenge for people to identify the appropriate documentation to start their disaster recovery process. That is an area that our state partners, our local partners, and some of our federal partners are supporting as well. And of course, with many businesses being destroyed, we know that there's going to be a lot of questions about unemployment, about how to get businesses back up and running. And so I think a lot of what we're looking at is just the holistic picture for these communities in terms of where they're going to go. But we know immediately for disaster survivors, one area that we know we're going to have to continue to lean forward on is helping them identify the appropriate documentation to continue their recovery process.
And Marcus, what can people do that are watching and want to help? Is there something that they can do?
Yes, there are three things that you can do. So one thing that you can do is to donate blood. It's still very important. I know the American Red Cross is still doing blood drives. That is a practical way that you can go and support not just this effort, but many efforts to come. The second, if you are so able, cash is best in terms of donating to a nonprofit or non-government organization. National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disasters has about 70 organizations that are trusted partners that do disaster relief and are active in this area. The website there is nvoad.org. And if you have a friend or family member that's been impacted by this disaster, or if you're listening to this and you know that you have people in the community that need the information, sharing 1-800-621-3362, encouraging those friends and families to reach out to their insurance agent to make sure that they're getting all of the necessary recovery resources for insurance, and calling FEMA at 1-800-621-3362 puts them on a pathway to recovery.
All right, well, Marcus, thank you very much. We wish you the best and good luck in those recovery efforts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.